Hello, my friends. Good to have you back. If this is your first time here, welcome. I make sarcastic, sometimes funny, and always pedantic responses to idiots who think Wicca is some secret satanic cult that abuses people and sacrifices them to their dark lord. This is part 3 of my video response to Wicca Exposed by a channel that is run by a professional victim who claims he exposes secret societies. The creator of this channel claims that Wicca controls everything. Churches, governments, the military, teachers, medical establishments, even other religions, through what he calls radio frequency energy technology. To what end, you may ask? Well, to indoctrinate everyone into this mystery cult. Why, of course. What is the purpose of mind controlling and programming people into this international mystery cult of Wiccans? Well, he doesn't say, but I'm sure it is for some dark, nefarious reason. What evidence does he give? None, but he's not going to let that stop him from exposing this super secret mystery cult of controlling everything and everyone. I hope you enjoy.
Excuse me, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
It's basically an intergalactic invasion into this space through people. I'm telling you, it's what all the ancients said, it's what they warned of, it's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I don't think they're actually being physically taken into a physical craft.
Okay.
It's the demons taking control of them where they begin to think that this is what's happening.
The idea of a holographic universe, all of a sudden things begin to make sense because these entities who come in and manipulate space, time, matter, and energy can do so because they don't come from...
lycanthrope or a werewolf, or I can go the other way and become a vampire. I chose to become a vampire because it seemed, sexier somehow. And so anyhow, I went through about a year and a half where basically I lived on nothing but human blood and Catholic community.
And it's real. It's not a put on. This is 100% real. The energy level is just rising to an absolute cacophony.
All right, so continuing on with the quote, Sabin writes, some of the Wiccan mysteries are the interplay between the god and the goddess.
Here's a quick recap if you're wondering where this quote comes from. This is from part 2 of my video response.
So what are the mysteries exactly? On page 14, Sabin writes, quote, Wicca is a mystery tradition. There are certain spiritual experiences that are nearly impossible to put into words. Many of them have to do with big topics like death, love, deity, and birth, and are mirrored in our Sabbath rites, end quote. Then she gives the example of the Greek myth about Persephone, or a lady who was abducted by the god Hades and brought into the underworld.
As we will learn shortly, he confuses myth with real life events. He thinks Persephone was an actual person who was abducted. He isn't the sharpest knife in the drawer.
So this may be an example of one of the ritual mysteries that got a little dangerous for a lady involved. A lady who was a target of the cult will play the role of Persephone. And in this ritual, she'll be chased and then abducted by an evil man who brings her as a prisoner into the underworld.
You sure do like to apply your own narratives to Sabine's writings. Thea writes nothing of an actual person playing the part of Persephone being abducted. She is speaking of Wiccan mysteries and giving an example. From page 15, Thea writes, one of the best historic, non-Wiccan examples of this is the Eleusinian mysteries, the ancient rites of Demeter and Persephone that were held for thousands of years at Eleusis in Greece. It is important to note several things. One, modern Wiccans, witches, and pagans understand the passage of time and development of culture. What the ancient Greeks practiced many thousands of years ago is not what we would practice today. Second, we do not even know how the Eleusinian mysteries were enacted. Third, she clearly states this is a historic, non-Wiccan example.
But one of the big secrets is that these people who become targets or victims of these rituals, where the cult stalks and manipulates them, is that these people are placed in a hypnotic state through the use of radio frequency energy fields.
So now we are learning more about these radio frequency energy devices. They give off a field. How do the operators of these radio frequency energy devices prevent it from affecting them? I would assume they would be in the field too. Oh, wait, probably tinfoil hats. According to this secret society expert, each individual coven owns its own radio frequency energy device that they activate when performing the Wiccan mysteries, and everyone within that field is hypnotized. Not only are these devices mass-produced, but they would also have to be relatively small as to not be seen in a Wiccan circle. Who is mass-producing these devices, and where are they being built? Those are the real questions.
And this essentially clouds their minds so that it's difficult for them to think rationally or clearly, and it's a lot like being on drugs.
If it is like being on drugs, why would the Wiccans have brought drugs over from England back in the 1960s? And how do you know the effects of these devices? Did you try one? Were you ever under mind control of the Wiccans? Maybe you are still under their mind control, and this is all a psyop, and none of this is actually true, and the real truth is being hidden. And what if that is part of the psyop too, and just a distraction from the real secret truth of the actual powers of the Wiccans? This is much deeper than I thought.
So people become very frightened and are then traumatized and manipulated by the cult, who goes on to torture and kill most of these people. So in this book, Wicca for Beginners,
I like how he just casually talks about fear, torture, and murder being committed, and goes right into talking about this book. Like, we are just supposed to ignore this huge bombshell you just dropped? Yeah, okay. Trauma, torture, murder, sure, whatever. Anyways, moving on. Do these nutjobs ever think about the ramifications of making such an accusation? Do they think about what serious accusations those are? Like, maybe back it up with a single court case with a conviction or at least a police report. No, he just makes the accusation and moves on.
you could plainly see that Wiccans are used to this radio frequency induced mental state under the section called Trance Meditation and Path Working in Chapter 4 on pages 69 to 73.
Oh, good. Finally, we're going to get something tangible, some real examples of this mind-controlling cult stalking, torturing, and murdering people. Apparently, along with this small mass-produced device and the hypnotic state of ritual, the Wiccan also mesmerize themselves through meditation and path workings.
Sabin gives examples of certain exercises Wiccans can do to induce a trance. You could light a candle and stare at it. You could light incense, beat a drum. You could draw spirals. You could write "I am in a trance" over and over again in a notebook.
These are all very low-level methods of inducing a slight trance state. And Thea does not say write in a notebook. She says to visualize writing in a notebook from page 72. The notebook. Close your eyes and visualize a notebook with lined paper. In your mind, write on one line of the paper, "I am in a trance." Visualize forming each letter of the sentence. Keep writing the sentence on subsequent lines. These are all very simple exercises to bring one into a very mild trance. Daily activities involving repetitive, focused actions in art and music can help induce a trance or flow state by slowing brain waves, reducing stress hormones, and allowing access to the subconscious mind.
And you can imagine that you are in a maze with a minotaur.
This is why I have to go through all these little details, because this one-legged chair will make changes to every concept Thea puts forward, doing so as to spin it in a negative light as much as possible. The maze. Close your eyes and imagine you are in a maze of winding corridors, like Theseus in the story about the Minotaur. Not that you are in a maze with a Minotaur. That wouldn't be very relaxing at all.
And then she suggests that you do something called square breathing exercises. And she writes that square breathing means that you breathe in for 4 seconds, and then you hold your breath for 4 seconds. So Sabin is telling you not only to hold your breath, but take about 6 breaths per minute, which is to breathe less than half the amount of times that would be considered normal and healthy.
Box breathing is a method that many medical professionals used to calm and relax clients. Box breathing involves 4 basic steps, each lasting 4 seconds. Breathing in, holding the breath. Breathing out, holding the breath. Box breathing, also known as resetting the breath or 4-square breathing, is easy to do, quick to learn, and can be highly effective in stressful situations. People with high-stress jobs, such as soldiers and police officers, often use box breathing when their bodies are in fight, flight, or freeze mode. This technique is also relevant for anyone interested in recentering themselves or improving their concentration. It slows the breathing down. In an anxiety attack or during a high-stress situation, our breathing becomes quicker to send adrenaline and prepare us for fight or flight. Slowing our breathing down reduces this state.
So unless you are taking very deep breaths, you would normally take about 20 breaths per minute. But in Wicca, they want you to hold your breath and only take 6 breaths per minute, and this will help put you in a trance.
Yes, we want people to breathe less and be in a more calm state of mind so we can use our radio frequency energy device on the unsuspecting populace. We have to do it quickly because we naturally resume our regular breathing patterns after the stress and anxiety has passed.
And then Sabin writes that during a trance, you may need to have someone come and check on you in your room if you fear that you may get lost in there. And that's a direct...
Did he just laugh? Is this guy trolling me? I have heard such batshit craziness from Bill Schnoblin, David Carrico, Alex Jones, A Call for an Uprising, Thomas Dunn, and now you see TV, that it has become very difficult for me to detect when someone is being sarcastic or serious.
And that's a direct quote on page 69.
Not quite a direct quote. Thea is speaking to those that may fear trancing out. On page 69, Thea writes, before you start, however, one of the trance-inducing techniques, if you're worried that you're going to trance out so far that you will have trouble coming back, there are 2 simple things you can do. Set an alarm clock to go off after a certain period of time, 5 to 10 minutes for your first attempt, 15 to 20 if you are pretty good at trancing. You can also ask someone to knock on the door at a specific time. Here, Thea is writing suggestions for people who may be nervous about performing meditation and trance states. With the many misunderstandings we have in Western culture around meditation and trance, it does not surprise me.
So I guess in Wicca, people will often get lost in their rooms and need someone like a handler to come check on them from time to time as if they are a little child.
No, if someone is nervous about going into a trance, they could have someone knock on their door after a certain period of time, just in case.
But that is the mental state the mystery cult prefers its little initiates to be in idiotic trances, where they need handlers to tell them what to do.
This guy's voice is dripping with vitriol. They don't enter into a trance and become frozen in time, unable to open their eyes and break the spell. Altered states are temporary. They are calming, relaxing, and helps people focus. There have been some studies done on these states, such as this one. Science Direct Behavioral Sciences Exploration of Trance States Phenomenology. 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 Brain correlates and clinical applications, August 2024. Currently, there is only limited empirical evidence on the clinical therapeutic efficacy of trance practices. The effect of Harner's shamanic trance combined with Ingerman's technique of soul retrieval was evaluated in 23 females with temporomandibular pain. Participants self-reported decreases in temporomandibular pain perception and its functional impact after 5 sessions. And these improvements persisted for 9 months. Participants also reported improved sleep, increased energy levels, and enhanced immune and digestive systems. Harner's shamanic trance was also studied in 4 veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, who completed 7 or 8 sessions. All participants reported improved quality of life, while 3 patients also reported decreases in symptoms and enhanced spiritual well-being, abilities to stay in the present, accept the inexplicable, and uncertainties.
Then on page 79 and 80, the author discusses what new Wiccans should learn how to do during your trances, and that is called path working. On page 79 and 80, she writes that during path working, which is a ritualistic journey that you will take while in a trance, Sabin worries about not being able to find herself out of it. So you may need to tie a mental thread to the door from where you started your mental journey, and then after it's over, you have to follow that thread back home.
We have lost so many initiates to path workings. Even to today, we have people wandering around the labyrinth of their own imaginations, lost forever without a Rodney's thread to save them. She discusses the importance of returning the way you came into the path working, following the same visualized path in and out. She sets up guardrails for anyone who might be nervous of doing a path working. From page 80. If you're truly worried about not being able to return, try the Theseus trick I discussed earlier in this chapter. When you enter the path working, tie a golden rope or thread to your gate or doorway. I have gone on many path workings, some created by others, some I read in books, and still others I created myself. It's like a daydream that you're consciously aware of.
Then on page 83, Sabin basically exposes that something really messed up is happening on these path-working journeys. And I will read what she writes. Quote, if you ever encounter anyone in your path-working, humans, gods, fairies, elves, animal spirits, ghosts, folklore characters, or any other beings, be polite. Don't touch or pet anything that doesn't want to be touched or petted. And if someone or something tells you to leave something alone, do so. And do not take anything that hasn't been specifically given to you. And when your journey is done, return to the starting point, shift your consciousness back to the real world, and ground.
I was on a path working once in a huge labyrinth filled with minotaurs. As I was searching for an exit rather than return the way I came, I encountered a pack of squirrels who looked a bit rough. They seemed to be guarding a small bag of nuts. As I reached out to grab the bag, the pack of squirrels attacked me. I dropped the bag, turned, and ran for my life out of the labyrinth, never to return. Now, I'm not going to presume to fully understand how Thea believes the mechanics of how path workings work. My understanding of path workings, I have been, is they are aspects of the subconscious mind. Therefore, we should be passive and receptive to what we see and what we encounter, only interacting in our mind's eye when it seems appropriate. Some may even take notes afterward in a dream journal or magical diary.
So this exposes that these are less imaginary characters in a daydream and more like other cult members that are taking the mind control victim on a walk.
What? Do you think Wicca cult members are entering the initiate's path workings and harassing them? How did they do this? Oh, is it through that radio frequency energy technology device? What would be the goal of this?
And these handlers don't want you to misbehave or be anything other than polite to them. And you shouldn't take anything back with you, like evidence of what has happened.
Path workings happen in the mind's eye of the participant. They can't bring back physical evidence of where they were. Does this guy not understand the difference between imagination and physical reality?
On page 86, she describes one of these ritual trips.
Now we are talking. A ritual trip sounds fun.
Where the path worker is brought to the edge of a thick forest at night. Sabin explains that there's a full moon and a path leading into the woods with a tower of stones nearby.
Hold on a second. Let me get comfortable and close my eyes so I can visualize this better.
You walk into the forest, down a path, and into a large clearing where there's a flat stone that you should sit on. Then a lady in a flowing white dress appears and walks across the field, and you should know to wait for her and not be afraid, because she has information for you.
Wait, How do I know you're not going to use a radio frequency energy device and enter my path working and have a pack of squirrels attack me? I'm on to you, buddy. I'm not falling for that again.
However, as part of the ritual programming, you cannot identify who that person is. Then Sabin writes this statement that exposes what the cult wants on page 87. Note, whatever happens in the clearing is the work of the path working, and the parts where you walk the path to and from the clearing are meant to bring you in and out of the trance. So do you know what she's saying with all of that?
Well, I do, but I highly doubt you do. I am sure you're going to twist this simple exercise of mindful visualization into some twisted, horrible enactment of this cult for your own bigoted agenda. Go ahead, expose the Wicca cult. Tell us what they truly want.
She is telling you to go into a trance before you reach the field, so you do not exactly remember what happens out there. And then, when you are leaving the field, then you can come back out of your trance. So they're teaching their initiates, as well as any person they want to become a victim, to fall into a trance and walk out into a field at night with other people and then block out whatever happens out there.
This happens in your mind's eye. You don't actually go into a field under a full moon and encounter a lady in white. It happens in your imagination. At the start of this sample path working on page 85, Thea writes, you're going to take a journey in your imagination, your mind's eye. It is believed, and again, this is my interpretation, but I believe you are tapping into your subconscious. And since subconscious is a language of symbols, you note things that stick out. The whole point is to remember what happened in this path working.
So the field could be a place of some obscene ritual involving sex and death, and people could get raped or killed or programmed to do that sort of thing on others.
I guess you could imagine that in your mind's eye during one of these path workings, but that sounds very disturbing. And if this is what you are imagining, then Wicca might not be for you, and you should probably go see a psychologist and maybe made known to the authorities, just in case. He sure is keeping the information he has on the radio frequency energy technology tight-lipped, which, to be honest, let's admit it, this is what we really want to hear about. What horrible activities are taking place in the imaginations of these Wiccan cult members? Well, we get to find out in the next episode, where he will explain the Wiccan Wheel of the Year. Oh, and, well, if you'll excuse me, my handler's here to check up on me. Until next time, my friends, I will see you in hell, you heathens.
Pretending the truth's too loud, there's no defending. You